What's up, guys? How you doing? Let's get into some training today. Earlier I was talking to you guys, and it was talking about the what's more important, your schedule and your flexibility. But today I want to really get into it because somebody asked me a question about change. They said they've been trying to get rid of some bad habits that they've been doing for a very long time, and they just haven't been able to change it. So I said, let me go into my archive, my books. Usually I like to go to like Napoleon Hill or Tony Robbins or Jim Rohn or one of those guys, and I pulled something out of my Tony Robbins book that I've been reading a lot lately since we've been on this lockdown, and it is about change. How are you going to change? So today, when we're done with this training today, you will be able to make any change that you want in your life and make your life better. That's right. You'll be able to make your life better because of this training today. I'm going to show you how to do it yourself. Okay, because you can't rely on other people to make changes for you. You're going to have to come from the inside to make that change. All right, so let's go to the whiteboard. Let's give you guys some little bit of training today. All right. Um, if you guys look to the right here, I got a quote from Nietzsche, philosopher Nietzsche. He said, "He who has a strong enough why can bear almost any how." That is something you guys need to reflect on because that statement speaks volumes, right? But let's get into it. All right. So my question to you guys is, how many of you have tried to change a habit, like smoking, maybe drinking, overeating, social media scrolling? That used to be mine. Um, Emotional patterns, like maybe feeling worried all the time, or feeling depressed, or fearful, or maybe even you just have the feeling of inadequacy. How many of you guys have tried to make that type of change in your life and it has been difficult over and over again? As much as you've tried, you have not been able to make that change. How many of you guys? You can leave it in the comments if you want, and we can talk about it. And I can just help you answer those questions because I know me personally, I've had feelings of inadequacy at times for things that I've tried to do in my life. And I've had mentors that guided me and helped me to make changes, strong changes. And you guys may not have a mentor, but I'm telling you that with these trainings, I will give you guys the answers to many of your questions because I'm not trying to be the expert. I like to go out and find the expert and ask him the questions to bring you guys the answers. All right. So that's how we're doing that. Okay. The next thing is change. What does change require? Um, change requires more than just establishing the knowledge that you have to change. Obviously, if you guys are drinking too much, or smoking too much, or overeating too much, or having all of these other feelings, you know you want to change. Maybe other people even told you why are you feeling this way. You know, you shouldn't. You're better than this. Maybe some people even told you. Or maybe some people tell you you're not better than that. But either way, you know you have the knowledge that you want to change. So many people have the knowledge they want to change. When I spent over 20 years training people in the academy and getting people in best shape of their lives as a personal trainer, the one thing they had that made them successful was the inner desire, their reason why they wanted to change. Now, I've also had clients who I've trained them for years as personal trainer, and they look exactly the same a year later because behind the scenes, their character was not allowing them to become the person they wanted to be. They kept falling back on who they were, trying to be consistent with who they were, which was overweight and out of shape. And I told them, I said, the reason why is because you're not disgusted enough, right? So let's get into that. I have had that feeling where I was finally disgusted with how I looked, disgusted with what I was doing, disgusted with my income, disgusted with how I was feeling, disgusted with how it made my family feel. All of those feelings drove me to change, to be better, to do more. And those are the exact same feelings that you will use to make your life better. Okay, so here's the truth, guys, right? The truth is, right, you may keep this a secret from your family, your children. You may keep it a secret from your spouse. You may keep it a secret from your boss, your employer. But these feelings, you can't keep them a secret from yourself, right? Um, if you are not disgusted enough with how you feel about your habits, your bad habits, and the things that you are doing, if you personally don't feel bad enough about it, you won't change. That's just a fact. That's just what it is, guys. You have to have that feeling. You have to have that feeling of why, driven by your passion to change. Okay. So if you're going to change your life, you're going to have to go deep inside yourself. It can't come from the outside, guys. It can't come from your wife saying she's mad at you. It can't come from your children saying they're disappointed with you. And it cannot come from your friends. And I tell people, usually most of the time, it's your friends that keep telling you that you're all right just the way you are. Usually that's the problem, you know. I know with me, when I started gaining weight and I started getting out of shape, um, my friends were like, "All right, you look okay. You look good, you know." And they're remembering how I used to be in shape, but not how I would like to be in shape once again. And I had to start, I really had to start saying, I really don't care what you think. I mean, I didn't say that to my friends, but every time they said that I looked okay, in my head, I turned that around and said, no, I'm not okay with how I look. All right. And that's how you guys have to do it. That is how you start making changes. Okay. Let's go on here. Now, the greatest leverage you can create for yourself, and I'm going to write this quote down as a matter of fact. All right. Because I think this is worth writing down. The greatest leverage you can create for yourself. Oh, let's back down. Greatest leverage you can create for yourself is the pain that comes from the inside, not the outside. And why is that? It's because knowing that you have failed to live up to your own standards for your life. This, guys, is the ultimate pain right here. I'm going to put that right here for you guys to see and for you guys to think about and contemplate on that. All right. That right there is powerful. All right. Knowing that you're not living up to your own standards. Wow. You have let yourself down, and there's nobody out there that can tell you that it's okay after that. That is the ultimate inner pain, that regret, that disappointment that you knew you were supposed to do better. You knew that you needed to be better and you didn't do it. That pain eats people alive. But the great part about that pain is it can invoke change. It can change your life. Okay. Now, what this pain is doing right now is it is creating inside of you and a feeling of inconsistency with who you believe you are, right? We all have a perception of who we are in life, who see we have an outside perception of what we show other people, and how we try to live up to that standard. But then we also have a standard of who we believe we are as people. And we do our best to remain consistent with that standard. And anytime we start to move outside of that standard, we try to get back to that standard. Okay. Another thing, one of the strongest forces in the human personality is your drive to preserve the identity, is preserve your own identity, your integrity of your own identity, that is. All right. So I'm going to write that down as well because I think that's very important for you guys to know. That's another note. Okay. So, as I said, one of the strongest forces, personality, look at that. All right. So, listen, I tell you guys what, right? Um, one of the strongest forces in the human personality is the drive to preserve the integrity of your own identity. We always try to be who we believe we should be. We're always fighting to remain consistent with that. And that is always an ongoing battle for us as people. Okay, I'm going to shrink that down and get this back up to you guys so you guys can see it. All right. That is another strong point that I always want to continue to make to you guys so you guys can understand what's going on. Okay. Now, why is that? Okay. Why? We associate more pain to changing. This is why we don't change, right? Okay. We associate more pain to changing than we do to not changing. And you know what that comes from, right? It comes from when we feel like if we change, now we have to find a new set of friends. If we change, our old friends will judge us. If we change, we will be looked at different. We have to create a whole nother circle of influence. So you're comfortable with that old circle of influence, even though you are not living the life that you want to. So your why is just not strong enough. You know, you need to work on your why. And so, in doing so, in working on your why, you have to ask yourself a couple of questions. And I'm going to write these questions down because I think they are very, very important. As a matter of fact, let me see. I'm going to put a list right here for these questions. All right. Move this over here so you guys can see it. All right. So, listen, that first one is this. All right. What will it cost me if I don't change? You have to ask yourself these questions. Now, these questions that you're asking yourself is going to take some thought. It is going to invoke emotions. It is going to pull things up out of you that maybe you're afraid to deal with. But these questions have to be written down and answered by you because you need to know what the cost is. All right. And that is going to start to move you forward and help you to develop a why. Right. Now, the next one is because that's going to build some emotions up. The next one is how will my failure affect the ones I love? Right. If you don't change, if you don't change, how is it going to affect the ones you love, your children, your wife, your family, your parents, your closest friends? Let's say you're just drinking too much, you're smoking too much. I have a friend that drank himself to death. He could not change. And the impact that it had on his family was horrible. You know, his wife just lived a life in so much misery and pain because of his severe alcoholism, and it caused his death. And it was very very hard life for his wife and his family to live and to watch him go through that. And he was a really great guy. But hey, listen, remember, you can be a good person. A matter of fact, you can be a great person and still live a life of misery because you fail to change. Just remember that, okay? The last question that I'm going to add here to you guys is, if I do change. So those two were maybe negative emotional questions that bring out some hurt. How about some reward? You got to add a reward to that. Always like when I talk to my officers and I speak to them, always like what I call the sandwich. You know, I tell them something good, then I give them the bad news, the meat, okay, and then I tell them something good. And you put that together in a sandwich, and when you do that, they leave and they feel a little bit better about themselves, but they also know that they did something wrong, okay, and they know that they were addressed. So that's important. But the last one is a reward, guys. So if I do change, right, how would that make me feel about myself? Think about that, guys, right? If you change, how would that make you feel about yourself, right? How would that make me feel about myself? That is so key. That's so key. That's so important. Trying to make this a little smaller here, guys. Hold on, give me a second. Figure this out. Make this a little smaller. There we go. Now we're working. Right. So anyway, the reward is what your feeling, your emotions, your excitement, your happiness, right? If you lose that 20 pounds that the doctor told you you needed to lose anyway, right? And you got it down, you got the body that you want, how are you going to feel? Full of energy, full of confidence, able to go out and try something new, do something else. I mean, how's your family going to look at you? How's your wife going to look at you? Your children? Everybody's proud because you accomplished something that you said you were going to do. That is a good feeling, guys. You add that strong emotion. So when you're going through these list of questions that you ask yourself, these things help you to build up your why. Okay. Now, a lot of people are going in uh, crazy directions, right? And they can't get it right. So what I learned was a tool from Tony Robbins, and it's called the pattern interrupt, right? Um, Listen, trust me. I told you guys over and over again, I am not a mind expert, a brain expert, any of the above. But what I do is I know how to go out there and get information. I know how to go out there and get information that allows me to change. And when I see something that I get excited about that allows me to change, guess what I do? I immediately want to teach it to somebody to help somebody else change. My goal in life has always been to never leave a man behind. I learned that from 28 years of law enforcement. We don't leave anybody behind. All right. And if you are to learn something, okay, to not teach the next person is you leaving them behind. We're not going to do that here, guys. You guys are going to grow with me. As in my journey to become a millionaire, you guys are coming right along with me. So let's go. So in the pattern interrupt, this is amazing. It's exciting. I like the way he set this pattern interrupt. So okay, now here you go. Here's step number one, and I'll put it in the circles so you guys can screenshot this and look at it later. All right. Okay. The first one is you see the situation in your mind that was bothering you so much, right? And you don't feel upset about it. You picture it as a movie. Okay. So I'm gonna just put see the situation. All right. So that's in the first circle, guys. See the situation. All right. Now, when you picture like a movie, you're not going to get upset with it. You close your eyes, you visualize what is upsetting you or what are you trying to accomplish here that is truly bothering you, right? Maybe you have a feeling of depression. Maybe you have a feeling of inadequacy. Whatever it is, you see the situation in your mind. So you play it like a movie. Whatever the situation is, you let it play out in your mind like a movie. But the difference is you are watching the movie. So you're not getting emotionally involved in it. You're just watching the movie. All right. It's a movie about your life, but I want you to look at it from an outside perspective. The next thing you do is you take that same experience, okay, and you turn it into a cartoon. All right. That sounds crazy, right? I'm going to just put turn into cartoon. All right. That's the next step. There you go. Now, when you turn it into a cartoon, what's amazing about this, right, is that you may have a person that's upsetting you, a person that's bothering you. Uh, if it is a person, turn them into, give them big ears, somebody that's really hounding you. Give them big ears like Mickey Mouse or Dumbo, or and change the colors and the patterns. Um, Play the story really, really fast forward, then play the whole story in reverse. If somebody is saying something forwarded, let them say it backwards and swallow their words backwards and forwards, and do this over and over again. He says 10 to 12 times, right? So now, after you've done this 10 to 12 times, playing it over and over again in your head as a cartoon, now now you think about that same situation, okay, that was bothering you before, and notice how you feel about it now. So the last part is now look at the situation after running it through this scenario. So I'm gonna just put now look at the situation. Now, the reason why this works, and it does work, trust me. You guys got to try it and just run through it. And the reason why it works is all of our feelings and emotions are based on images, right? That we focus on in our minds, right? And the sounds and sensations that we link to those specific images. Mhm. Everything that we do is visual and audio, okay? And if some certain situation upsets us, we have certain images that we add to that situation, a certain soundtrack that we're constantly playing in our mind to that certain situation that now causes every time that we think about a situation causes us to feel bad. But when you run this pattern interrupt, it changes all of that. It actually makes the situation that you're upset about almost maybe even seem ridiculous at times. And some of the situations may even be ridiculous when you put them in that fashion. And this pattern interrupt has turned out to me to be extremely, extremely powerful, guys. It is a tool that I've been using for years now when it comes to me making changes in my life. All right, when things are upsetting me. And that is why my default is always happiness, always positive, and I'm always smiling. I'm always smiling because guess what? A lot of things in life have happened already. And if you can continually find people who can help you through situations in life and changes, as opposed to trying to always figure out why you're on your own, you could have a much better life. You can have a fantastic life, a life of abundance. Okay, stop trying to solve all the problems on your own. We are in this together. No one has ever succeeded alone. All right. So hopefully, guys, I've given you guys some powerful information today to make change. Um, if you guys screenshot this, do whatever you want, and teach somebody this. Just don't keep it to yourself. This is powerful information, right? This is life-changing information. This information is going to transform your life from where you are to wherever you would like to be, guys. So keep doing what you're doing. Don't give up. Don't quit. Always, always, guys, give value. You guys have a great night, and I will talk to you later.